Have you ever waited on something for so long that you started to believe it would never happen? Maybe it's a dream, a promise, or a breakthrough that seems just out of reach. You pray, you hope, but as time drags on, doubt starts to creep in. Hello everyone, welcome to our channel where we explore life's pressing issues through the wisdom of the Bible. If you've ever felt like God's promises are taking too long, then you need to hear the story of Sarai, a woman who waited 25 years for God's promise to be fulfilled. But what if I told you that her greatest blessing didn't come from taking control, but from learning to trust God's perfect timing? Stay with me until the end, because this story will change the way you see God's love, His power, and His plan for your life. Sarai, a woman whose story is woven into the foundation of God's grand plan. Sarai, better known later as Sarah, was far from perfect, yet God chose her as a central figure in the story of His covenant with His people. Her journey is one of doubt, struggle, faith, and ultimately triumph. Stick around as we explore her life and the powerful lessons it holds for us today. Sarai wasn't just any woman, she was the wife of Abram, a man whom God Himself had chosen for a great destiny. God told Abram, "I will make you into a great nation, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." Genesis 12:2-3. Imagine hearing those words, a divine promise straight from God. There was only one problem. Sarai was barren. She couldn't have children. How could God possibly make Abram a great nation when the one thing they needed, a child, seemed impossible? But Sarai believed. She followed Abram, leaving behind her home, her security, and everything familiar to walk into an unknown future with nothing but God's promise to hold on to. Years passed, then more years, still no child. Can you imagine the whispers behind Sarai's back, the pity in people's eyes? In her time, barrenness was seen as a curse. Maybe she asked herself, "Did I hear God wrong? Did He forget me?" How many of us have felt this way? We start strong, believing in God's promises, but when we don't see results right away, we start to doubt. And this is where Sarai made a critical mistake, one that so many of us make today. Instead of waiting, she took matters into her own hands. Sarai learned the hard way that God doesn't need our help to fulfill His promises. When we try to rush His plan, we often create more trouble for ourselves. She told Abram, "Take my servant Hagar, have a child through her," Genesis 16:2. Hagar becomes pregnant, and just like that, Ishmael was born. A child, but not the promise. At first it seemed like a solution, but soon conflict, tension, jealousy, and heartbreak followed. Hagar looks down on Sarai, and Sarai grows resentful. Sarai's plan only brought more pain. The attempt to fix God's plan with human effort only leads to pain. Have you ever forced something only to regret it later? Maybe it was a relationship, a job, or a decision you made out of impatience. This part of Sarai's story speaks to all of us. How often do we try to force our own solutions when God seems silent? It's a reminder that while waiting is hard, trusting God's timing is vital. Shortcuts may seem appealing, but they rarely lead to the blessings we desire. Then when all hope seemed lost, God showed up. "I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her," Genesis 17:16. But by now, Sarai was 90 years old. 90. Her body was frail, her womb lifeless. She laughed at the thought of having a baby at her age. And yet, 1 year later, the impossible happened. Sarai, now renamed Sarah, gave birth to Isaac, the child of promise. Her waiting was not in vain. Her pain was not forgotten. And through her story, we learn this powerful truth. God always keeps His promises, even when it seems too late, even when it seems impossible. The takeaway. How this applies to your life. Sarah's story is your story. One, God has a plan for you, even if you don't see it yet. Just because you don't have the answer now doesn't mean it isn't coming. 2, trust God's timing, not your own. Don't let impatience drive you into making decisions that cause pain later. 3, when it feels impossible, that's when God moves. If Sarah could have a child at 90, what can God do in your life? God is faithful. His love never fails, and His power is greater. Now I have a question for you. What promise are you waiting for? Are you trusting God or trying to take control? If you're in a season of waiting or doubt, let Sarah's story encourage you to trust Him fully. Pray for patience and faith to rely on His timing, and ask Him to work through your struggles for His glory. Drop a comment below and let's encourage one another. If this video spoke to you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs encouragement today. Remember, it's God who sustains us through every trial, every doubt, and every season of waiting. His love never fails and His plans are always good. God's plan for you is bigger than you can imagine. Trust Him, wait on Him, and watch Him do the impossible in your life. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a message that strengthens your faith. See you in the next video. God bless. Until then, stay blessed.